I wanted to do a recap of all the pens that maybe not all, but most of the pens which I've gone through on my channel up to now in the last probably 4 to 5 months. So in front of you, you can see most of the pens, and I've deliberately taken out the steel ones to kind of talk about today, right? Because I think there is a distinction between the steel-nibbed pens and the gold-nibbed ones, right? Which we'll probably leave for another topic for another day. So the question which I wanted to answer from reviewing and from using these pens was, with the benefit of hindsight, with the benefit of knowing what I know today, which out of this selection of pens that you're looking at right now would I actually pick as my first pen to kind of buy and to use. So going through all of the pens, so starting, it's not sorted in any way. It's probably something closer to this if I were to kind of sort this collection based on price, would probably go something like not an exact science, but something like this, right? So the cheapest pen, I mean, in my collection that's steel, at least at the prices that I bought it at, would probably be the Moon Man, right? These are great pens. Talking about pens that, I mean, we always talk about, or rather reviews that you've seen on the internet, whereby they have spoken about pens that have the platinum slip and seal mechanism and so on, starting up after 1 year. This M2 always starts up regardless of how long I've left it. I normally leave it in my pen cup. It's been there like for months, and every time I pick it up, it starts up. Very beautiful pen, I think. It still has the same ink, the Diamine Winter Miracle, if I'm not wrong, in there, which is like a shimmering ink, and it never fails to start up. It's a nice pen. The next pen, in terms of price, I would kind of guess would be the T1, right? Moonman T1, and I think it's a awesome value. I bought this less than $10. I think the prices have gone up ever since end of last year, but you might still be able to pick this up for that type of price range. At that type of price range, I think it's a good, solid purchase. Moving up in terms of price, you would then have the Eco, TSP Eco, which I think, if budget was a real consideration for you, you get the same nib as the, sorry, this is the Go. You get the same nib as the Eco in a kind of a cheaper packaging with a kind of a not so fancy looking plunger mechanism compared to the piston fill in the Eco, but it's still a great choice if you're not one of those people who are concerned about looks that much anymore, concerned about functionality and performance. I think this is a great choice. Then moving on to the two pilots, the Pig and the Elite Steel, which I picked up from eBay. I think these are an acquired taste, right? So I mean, if you are more towards a more classic looking pen, I think these four would be good choices. So this is the Cocoon, however it's known as the Metropolitan in a lot of other markets. I think it's a Personally, I don't really use this that much. First of all, it's my wife's pen. I don't really get along with this step down from the screw threads. However, it's not really fair for me to kind of talk much about this pen because it's I don't really use it that much, and therefore I can't really include this into my, which pen would I get, or maybe I can, but I probably won't. You're talking about this, the Plaisir. I like this pen. It's a great nib. It has a great wet nib. The only considerations as we kind of get further up into the range is that this pen didn't come with a converter, right? So far, nearly all of these all came with some way of filling up the pen. I mean, this one was an eyedropper. It came with that little pipette or the little syringe. It's not a syringe, but a little pipette that for me to fill up the eyedropper. For that price of about the $20, around thereabouts, these two pens, this one didn't come with a converter. It came with a cartridge. This one, it depends where you buy the Pilot, right? The Metropolitan or the Cocoon. If you buy some of the packaging doesn't come with a converter, and even if it comes with a converter, the converter that it comes with would be that kind of the bulb style converter, which is not the ideal converter, but at least it does come with a converter. So basically, the Plaisir has points docked because at this $20 price point, it didn't come with a converter. If I wanted to, I could obviously buy an additional converter and then it'll be fine. But the fact that it didn't come with it, I would have to dock any kind of virtual points of that. I'm talking about the Kaweco Sport. I bought this in a fantastic price off Amazon. Probably never gonna get that price anymore. However, in kind of the normal price for Kaweco Sport is around 20 over US mark. Similar to the Lamy Safari, this is the limited edition Mango edition. And for these two pens, I would say, they would appeal to a different type of. So these four would appeal for more of the people who like the classic look of pen, just by the way the pen looks. These two are more for people who like to collect maybe different colors of, the Safari. They liked maybe the kind of the funkiness of the design, the facets down here. I mean, that the fact that they actually cut out the sides like this, peep window and so on, wire, clip and so on. Same for the Kaweco. There are people out there who are like literally collecting every shade of Kaweco Sport. So these two pens, I would say, nib wise, the Kaweco, I would say I like the nib better than the Safari. But I mean, it go both ways depending on whether or not, based on QC, which type of, whether you were lucky or unlucky, nib wise. So these are more modern, even though they are not modern pens. They look more trendy and modern, in that $20 odd price range. And then last but not least, we're moving up to like the kind of where I would kind of look at in terms of people who, when I was when I was thinking of buying a pen, I would probably enter right now into the market if I was buying a new pen within this range of pens that you're looking at. The Eco, the TWSBI Eco, the Moonman, the Faber-Castell Loom, and maybe not so much the M200, knowing what I know. So I mean, M200, I've spoken about it many times. Even though I've gotten used to it, it is a very slim and small pen. I mean, if you put it against Safari, you can see how much smaller it is. However, when you post it, it's definitely, you know, it's definitely way more usable, right? So I mean, but based on the, I guess the kind of the elephant in the room when it comes to the M200 is actually the price. You're paying quite a lot more for any of these pens. Could possibly be double of any of these 3 pens. And what are you getting? You're getting a, you know, maybe a better piston mechanism, I'm not sure. QC for the nibs for M200s, I happen to get a pretty good and smooth one that wrote very well, but you know, I'm kind of thinking this shouldn't be, or this wouldn't be my first choice on the balance, with hindsight involved, right? So it has to be these 3 that I would pick up. You get the Loom, which is a fantastic pen. To be very honest, in terms of whether or not I use it that much right now, I probably don't, right? The main drawbacks to the Loom are that it's in the price range of about that 40, depending on the finish, the $40 US price range. And what do you get? You get a very nice steel nib. However, you will have to top up for this for the converter, right? So I mean, out of the box you get this cartridge, a really short one. You can refill these, but you know, comparing kind of apples to apples, out of all of, I mean, most of these came with some way for me to kind of refill the pen easily without any other thing except for a bottle of ink, right? So I would, even though I like the Loom, I would kind of discount that in terms of my first pen, and that leaves me with these 2 pens down here, which is the M800 Moonman and the TWSBI Eco. And looking at the 2 of them, it's a, for me, it's a, first of all, it's a difficult choice, right? So I mean, and it's a choice depending on whether or not what type of pens you like. If you are more of the guy who would like the design of the pen, M800, you know, it's kind of a copy of a very famous pen out there. But the design wise, it does look like a way more expensive pen than it cost me, right? I chose the Bock. Those of you who have watched my videos in the past, I've chose the Bock nib, which is, maybe I was lucky, maybe you know, I just happened to pick a good one. That nib was pretty sweet. It's like a medium fine. And in terms of finish, and it came with a converter as well, I guess I would have, you know, no complaints about this, right? However, you know, it's a kind of the balance of with the benefit of hindsight and looking at all of this that I've gone through today in a very casual way. I would pick up the Eco as my first pen, and the reasons are, first of all, if I was getting into fountain pens again for the first time after a long while, I think this is a great choice because it looks unique, right? It has a unique look. You know, not talking about things like being a piston filler and all that. For that price which I paid for it, which is around the kind of the $30 US mark, right? You can get some even cheaper if you look hard enough. You get a funky kind of design. The design might not appeal to everyone. However, it's a very well made pen. I mean, there have been cases, there have been rumors or examples of people who complain that their Ecos crack, right? I'm not 100% sure about that, but mine is perfectly fine after, you know, all this time. It's very well made. It comes with a nice box with all the tools for you to disassemble everything. You can pull out the nib and replace it with other TWSBI nibs from your other TWSBI pens. It again, depending on your luck, and you know, you might get a nib that's good, you might get a nib that's maybe slightly not as good, but mine was fine. This is actually the stub actually from the Go, right down here. If you don't get a good nib, you know, just get another TWSBI nib and fit it on, or any, and then you'll be fine, right? I think this would be my choice, the TWSBI Eco, out of all of these other pens which I've talked about today in the video. If I had to kind of go back in time with the benefit of hindsight, this would be the pen which I would buy. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It's kind of a recap. I've passed 100 subscribers recently, and it's kind of a recap of whatever that I've been doing on the channel so far. I might do a similar type video for the gold pens in a future video. Let me know whether that's something interesting that you would like to see. And again, thanks to all my subscribers and viewers for watching my content. Let me know your thoughts in terms of what you would like to see or any questions, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you very much. Bye.